Let's watch Fox News talk about the Democratic fatigue following Trump's victory and his actions in office and see what context we might be able to provide to the conversation. Hey you, yes, you, we now have a Substack website where you can help support the channel. For just $8 a month, you can get daily articles exposing the chaos in Trump's first 100 days, a weekly podcast, and other exclusive perks, all while helping the channel grow and defend democracy. This is something that's not just very important to me, but enables us to get our message out to the most amount of people while also being just a genuine passion that I would love to pursue. So for those who have been wondering how to support the channel, how to help us grow, you can sign up now at the first link in our description. Thank you, and let's get back to the video.
I thought it was funny last night when they said they were going to have an emergency meeting tomorrow. I mean, they cannot figure it out. Then you have Chuck Schumer, who, as a communicator, he really struggles. Like when you see him on the floor of the Senate, he has to read "Good morning," and that doesn't play well on the television. And then he was just telling us how aroused people are getting about the something. Well, I don't even remember what that was about. But like Greg, I can't get it out of my head. The playbook on Trump from Democrats is focus on the economy. Well, where was that focus of the last 4 years, and maybe they wouldn't be in this position?
I'm going to do something I never thought I would do here. I'm going to agree with Fox News. I kind of agree with what this lady is saying, of whom she's the only one at the table whose name I don't know, so I apologize. But she did also lose me by the end, which we'll get into. But Democrats are unorganized right now. There's no denying that. They don't know which way to go. And it seems a lot of them are laying down and just capitulating to the madness and the racism and the bigotry Trump is trying to implement, which is absolutely not the right thing to do. We should be fighting this at every step of the way. Hey, if you're going to have ICE in my state, I'm not confirming any of your nominees. Hey, if you're going to try to roll back anti-discrimination executive orders, I'm not confirming any of your nominees. Like, there's ways to fight, and laying down and saying, isn't the way to do it. The Democrats giving up the fight to Trump are the ones we should absolutely never allow in our leadership. We should remember this. But the ones like AOC, Jasmine Crockett, or surprisingly JB Pritzker, right, who aren't backing down, who are still standing up for what's right. Like, this is the idea we need to coalesce around as a party. And Chuck Schumer just isn't a strong enough communicator to invigorate the party to fight in the way we need to, because Trump honestly didn't get a mandate. Even before some of what we'll get into came out, he had the fourth smallest popular vote margin in history, running against a candidate who only had 100 days, an unprecedentedly small time to make her case, and he barely beat her. But more people also didn't vote for Trump than did. And as we'll get into in the next segment, voter suppression played a large part in how Kamala wasn't able to repeat Biden's numbers. And we know from the numbers that if she repeated Biden's numbers, she would have won. And again, as we find out, I mean, this election doesn't mean any of the things that MAGA pretended, and we kind of let them pretend that it did mean. But also, to what she said at the end, the point of focusing on the economy and pointing out Trump isn't lowering prices is just in showing the hypocrisy from MAGA to those in the middle, which are the only voters that really matter in winning an election. We don't care about your opinion, MAGA. I'm sorry to tell you that, but you're clearly in a cult. Like, nobody cares to convince you, right? MAGA pointed their rage, these people at the middle, at Democrats, as if, hey, we can fix it and they aren't, so be mad at them. We're now pointing out, hey, Republicans lied to you about all of that.
The AOC, for instance, but she's meeting the moment. She's constantly online. She's posting videos. She's letting you know what her opinion is. I think Chris Murphy on the Senate side has done a good job as well, and Jasmine Crockett in Congress. Now, Trump has taught us many things, but one of them is you just got to be out there. Like, you can say things and take it back later, or not even take it back, but you have to be in front of people and you have to be in front of cameras. And Democrats, like Dana was saying, tomorrow I'm going to tell you about something that's an emergency. That doesn't work. Your house is on fire. Your baby's got a fever. I'm going to the doctor. I'm calling the fire department right now. They also were supposed to have a press conference on the January 6th pardons this week. The pardons happened last week, and everyone's already forgotten, right? We've moved on to the next crisis.
No more weak Dems. That has to be the mantra going forward. Our channel member, Zeke, shout out Zeke, put me on to reporting from Greg Palast, who we'd love to get on the channel. We're trying to get on the channel to fully discuss this stuff. He does really good investigative journalism. However, Kyle Kalinske had him on, and he found out that voter suppression disenfranchised over 3 million Kamala Harris voters. This is all through publicly available records. You can find out, and he tracks this, like the laws that Republican legislators in states enacted to do this, the provisions in which they were throwing out ballots from. all publicly available data. And through different measures of doing this, throwing out the ballots or otherwise disqualifying them, it disproportionately affected people of color and to the tune of like 3.5 million votes. And a lot of this is allowed or we don't know about because of how weak and hesitant Dems are. And no, I'm not saying open 60 court cases and enlist fraudulent electors or anything like that, but it's not even something Dems are going to bring up. They let MAGA bully them into these positions where, because they illegitimately cried voter fraud and enlisted fake electors and legitimately tried to steal an election and then claimed that it was the Democrats for 4 years, Democrats feel unable to speak up about their mass attempts at voter suppression that they objectively indulged in because, well, then they can say, oh, you know better than us or something, even though not really equatable. And you shouldn't fear that from people who are the least serious group of people in the world. Like, you can make the case and your case is going to be stronger than theirs. It's that simple. And it's also something Democrats have raised long before Trump anyway. When Trump was doing the whole thing, these are the clips people would post. They would take posts of like Obama and all these other Democrats talking about issues with elections. They're talking about voter suppression because it is a real issue, because it long has been a real issue. That's different than voter fraud, right? Measures put out to prevent someone from being able to vote is different from people who don't exist voted, right? But that's what we need, right? Strong voices that can call out MAGA corruption, point out MAGA's shortcomings economically, and then matching that to a populist worker forward message that not only resonates with voters, but then delivers where it can, while also having that fighting spirit.
Donald Trump is dominating. I mean, they're lost in the wilderness. He's taking a wrecking ball to Washington, and they're dithering, okay? And I'm sorry, I keep saying the same thing every day because they don't get it. Do you not know why you lost on November 5th? Was it that hard? When Tim Walz says, what could I have done to make the case? Why didn't you talk about the price of food? Maybe it was too much, or border crossings, maybe the crimes that are being committed?
Yeah, she loses me when she pretends to understand the nuance of campaign strategy. Let's just be all the way real with ourselves. She absolutely couldn't tell you what won or lost either person the election. What I want to focus on is her saying Trump is taking a wrecking ball to Washington, because you see MAGA say this a lot. You see them indulge in these kinds of beliefs all the time. Oh, he's going to destroy the deep state and pull apart the Washington bureaucracy and the establishment and blah, 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 whatever. Put power back in the workers. It's just part of this right-wing attempt to steal leftist rhetoric, which is funny because they tell us that we're wrong about everything, but now they want to capitulate. They want to steal our, the entirety of what we talk, the way we talk about and frame issues. But in doing so, it's hilarious what MAGA will consider this bureaucratic destruction, because he's not going in Washington and tearing apart big oil that taxpayers have subsidized for billions of dollars just to line the pockets of their CEOs, or the Pentagon that brazenly fails audits year after year, just throwing away taxpayer dollars, right? Or attacking the donor lobby that pulls power from democracy, from the workers, from the voters, and places it in the hands of a few wealthy elites who are pulling the strings behind the scenes. No, he's not touching any of that. Instead, he's freezing Medicaid in all 50 states that gives healthcare to low-income individuals and funds 42% of pregnancies in our countries, or causing the school lunch systems and veteran housing assistance payments to be paused, because that's how you destroy the establishment and own the libs, guys. They're really showing us, Trump can adapt the leftist rhetoric, the populist worker-first persona that the right pretended that is what they really care about and embodies, that the left actually embodies and has cared about and been speaking about for decades now, until it comes down to Trump actually having to do something populist or worker first or deliver on destroying the establishment or anything he says, because at the end of the day, he can't. He is an elite. He is part of the establishment. He is emboldened by these things. He will never attack them. And he could care less about the worker or the people below them in so much that he doesn't need their vote, right? But he still gets away with it because MAGA is so brainwashed that they'll just consider what he's doing the new anti-establishment. Because only Trump could get the same conservatives who have been telling us lefties, who have been correctly pointing out the establishment and elites and oligarchy and all of this for decades now, while these conservatives have been telling us that it's fake and we just need to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and work harder and stop demonizing the rich. Only Trump could get them from that position to completely 180 and make hating the establishment their entire personality. But now the establishment isn't the billionaires. Well, it's the billionaires if they're Jewish, but not the ones like Elon and Vivek that love Trump. But it's the guys who process your grandpa's Medicare and Social Security payments or the WIC office, right? Like, what are we doing?